Thank you for choosing In My Shoes. I'm Hilda Broady, your host. And today we actually have an unusual episode planned for you. But remember, get your pen, get your paper, because the information is going to be spewed forth and you're not going to have time to run and get it, because we at In My Shoes are taking a different approach to serving the world. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guests, Miss Judy Fabian and Mr. Devante Tate. And I don't really talk about my guests. They usually put forth the information about themselves, because I'll usually leave something out because I'm TBI. So, TBI is traumatic brain injured, but welcome.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Before we do that, could I please give you your In My Shoes flip-flop?
Sure.
Yours. Okay. So, welcome.
Thank you.
Talk to us.
My name is Judy Fabian. They call me Judy. I'm here today because I wanted to talk about a recurring problem that we have in the city, where we have repeated offenders being released back in our streets only to commit other more violent crimes again. On November 8th of 2013, my son was a victim of an arson that was committed by a roommate of his. She lit his apartment on fire and left behind 3 victims, including a 2-year-old child. About 2-3 weeks ago, we just went through the trial where she was only charged with criminally negligent homicide, and she was given a maximum of 4 years.
For 3 deaths?
Well, only my son passed away. The other 2 victims had smoking inhalations, including the child. There was also an amount of overwhelming evidence during the trial presented, including witnesses who testified to her saying she would lit the place up, and she packed her luggage, woke up one of the other roommates, and walked out with her luggage, leaving behind my son, the other 2 victims, and the 2-year-old child. This fire occurred on the DeWitt Clinton housing complex on 110th Street. It was broadcasted through a lot of news channels, and there was an overwhelming amount of evidence, and she still got off with a slap on the wrist, basically. It was, to me, very hurtful that our judicial system, even that it was a verdict by jury, but to me it was very hurtful that there was nothing that the judge can do to overgo beyond the scope of the law and actually give her more time than the maximum, because this was a repeated offender. This girl had a long rap sheet. She was walking our streets with an open warrant. And she now gets to, again, laugh at the judicial system and walk away with a slap on the wrist, like I said before. It's just, to me, shocking how our judicial system are letting so many people off like this. That was one thing I also said when I presented my victim impact letter. I expressed how these are perfect examples of why we turn on the news and we see offenders committing violent crimes, and we ask ourselves, well, how was that person back out on the street? I mean, with the long rap sheets that they have, they should be held in prison.
Is there a reason that she started the fire, or?
Well, there was an argument within the roommates over her not finding her cell phone, but it was also said that the other roommates were finding her to be acting very radical, like hours before. They were having issues with her before, so they were talking to my son about actually having her leave the apartment, and I guess she was aware of it. She then said she couldn't find her cell phone. She forgot that she had lended to one of the other roommates. She was drinking, and she was smoking pot. So I don't know if maybe her state of mind at that moment, she forgot she lent the other roommate the cell phone. But obviously, looking at her criminal past history, this is not a first-time offender. This is someone that when she gets mad, obviously, she resorts to violent ways. And it was very sad that she should be let out back in the streets in another 2 years.
So she was convicted of a
criminally.
lesser charge, or they had like several charges and they just convicted her of the lesser charge?
Correct. She was charged with murder on the second degree, if I'm correct. She was also charged with arson on the first degree, which she should have been convicted of because she obviously committed arson. She made incriminating statements to the arresting detectives, where first she said she fell asleep with a cigarette, and then when she was told that they were aware she didn't smoke cigarettes, then she said she used a sponge and she lit it up on top of the mattress. And those statements, of course, they were not used because she kept giving different statements. She obviously admitted to committing the arson. In whatever way she did it, she obviously took some admission to it in her statements, but they were never used because they were not admissible in court. It's just, I just don't understand how a panel of jurors of 12 people, hearing all the overwhelming evidence, I mean, they have pictures of her where she stabbed the couch before she even lit the place up. She was very mad and she was mumbling words. She took the couch, she stabbed the couch that was in the apartment. She then went on to break a table. She also said she was going to lit the place up. And hearing all these overwhelming evidence, the witnesses, the fire marshals who testified to that a cigarette couldn't have lit up a fire of that magnitude. Magnitude. And the jurors still, they did not charge her, not even with the arson.
Wow. And
she will be back in our streets in another 2 years because she has 2 years served already while she was fighting the trial. And I don't understand. I would like to know maybe if one of the jurors will watch the show and maybe someone can explain to me how people with common sense, seeing the overwhelming amount of evidence, let this person back out on the street. And of course, they weren't aware of her criminal background because the Constitution protects our criminals like this, where you cannot bring out their backgrounds. I mean, and this also, I feel that maybe we should start petitioning to change laws, because there are laws of arson charge against property damage or anybody that's in the property, but there are not really no laws that convict someone of committing arson towards another person.
Really?
I just found that out, and to me, that was very surprising, because we have now not only my son's case, but even if you turn on the news, we've had a couple of news where there have been people committing arson against other people. You know, whether it's throwing chemicals on them or whether it's lighting them, the person itself up. These are things that are really happening, and there should be laws that protect us against criminals like this. And especially against, being hurt. That is such an unusual and bad way to get hurt, to be burned. I had to watch my son 8 days. He survived for 8 days, and he lost his battle, but he had third-degree burns on him. He was going to have a leg amputated. It was really hard. I suffered a lot. For 8 days, I had to see him fight for his life and lose his battle.
Devante Tate.
Yeah. All right, my name is Devante. I'm here on behalf of Afrikans Help Africans, grassroots organization for the people and by the people, aimed at issues like police brutality, racism, forming group economics in the black community, doing for the black community, promoting self-respect, self-love, promoting anything to stop the violence in our own community, but also attack the root of that, which is institutional racism or white supremacy, if you want to call it either or, because that's really the root of a lot of things that we face as black people, is that white supremacy system. People will bring up black on black crime, but then they won't bring up how it started. You have things like the crack era in the 80s with Reagan. You have the breakdown of the Black Panther Party. which was people before us that was supposed to teach us, but we had no one to teach us because they was being thrown in prison, or if when they was being released from prison, they didn't come home the same way. We don't know what they did with our Panthers in the prison system. So it's a lot of history and psychological problems that we try to attack.
So do you think that the judicial system is supposed to be colorblind? But she's saying this person set fire and she's not gonna be punished for the actual crime. She's being, I don't know what that is, because 4 years for
it is.
Assault. What did they say? She assaulted the other two people?
Well, she committed the arson, but she wasn't charged with the arson. She was charged with criminally negligent homicide, which should have gone with also an arson charge, because how could she criminally negligent kill someone if she didn't commit the fire? So for a jury who I was told they were picked as intelligent, they were very intelligent people, but like they say, intelligence like common sense.
Sense is not common.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense how she's walking away with 4 years and not an arson charge.
But what I'm not understanding is, even if there was not the arson charge, 4 people were hurt. You said there was your son, a 2-year-old, and 2 other people.
Well, the other people had minor injuries.
That's assault, though. It's still minor.
Exactly,
It's assault.
That's why even the judge agreed during sentencing. I pleaded with the judge and I asked the judge to see if he can go or refer to any case that any other judge had gone beyond the scope of the law for the need to deterrence, and actually for the need of the concern for public safety. It's never been done before, so he couldn't apply that. And definitely he agreed that the sentencing was unjust, that justice was not being served in his courtroom, that if it was up to him, you know, the amount of sentencing would have been different. But he had to respect the jury's decision.
So she got the maximum for the charge.
For the charge, which is 4 years. And if she serves the 4 years, because she would see a parole board in maybe another 6 months, if I'm correct, and that parole board can decide to release her without completing the maximum, even though I'm hoping the judge did recommend the maximum.
But if she goes before parole, though, don't you get an opportunity to go and speak and say no, no, no?
No, I get an opportunity to write to the parole board and express myself and the pain she caused us, and the reason why I feel she should be kept in for another 1.5 years as a need of deterrence. This is a repeated offender. She had different cases throughout the 5 boroughs. And the other cases were actually dismissed. They were expecting her to serve 25 years.
So they dismissed all the other cases so that they could...
Basically, yes. They like time served, because she had already served 2 years due to waiting for, while she was waiting for the trial.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting, you know, because our system is definitely fixed, you know. For instance, you know, this is a minority case right here, you know. A minority committed it, a minority was victims also. But if the shoe was on the other foot, if that would have been a white individual who was killed, you know, things would have been handled differently.
That's what I was
like, you know, like
Yes.
looking at the history, things would have been handled differently. So they look at this case like, hey, you know, we don't really care. We're going to just drag this out, make the family feel comfortable and do things like that. And it's a big slap in the face, you know, it really is.
Yeah, I also said that in my victim impact letter, where I said that it's so sad that the status and socioeconomic background of an individual determines the value of their life. Because would my son been a first responder, a firefighter, or even a white person, this verdict wouldn't have been the same. It wouldn't happen. It was, the jury were a panel, I think, there was 2 Asian, the rest were maybe 1 black man, 1 Hispanic, and the rest white, and only 2 females, 10 males. And out of 10 males, I think 7 of them were older white males, which to me, they couldn't even relate to the case. Could not. And I don't think...
that was a jury of her peers?
It was a jury of 12 that were selected by her defense lawyer and the DA.
No, I'm just saying because you're supposed to be judged by a jury of your peers.
Exactly.
And you're telling me 10 men, 10 and 2 women and 7 older white people.
That's very interesting. You got brothers out here getting 25 to life for attempted murder. And like
That's what I'm saying.
Like people are still alive, and like they're getting 25 to life because of this, you know.
And not only that,
and like, you know,
non-violent offenders,
Exactly.
like people who've been charged with drug dealing, and they get 20 years.
They
and
get
you're
federal
thinking
time.
this person didn't really, like, they haven't hurt no one, they haven't committed any violence towards anyone, and these people are getting these long-term sentences. But yet this is a girl who had a criminal background. Why is she walking away with 4 years? It's not, it doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't, and it's not fair.
It doesn't. See, we need a new system. You know, people say, oh, maybe we can reform it, maybe we can get the right people in office, things like that. Well, people need to understand, no matter what the DAs is or things like that, it's always people above them, you know. That's always going to have that position. And like, even if they make the right choice, they're like, you know what? If you go through with this, you'll lose your job. You know, then now they're thinking, like, you know, do I really want to lose my money and things like that? Or if I do lose my job, they're still going to target me in my personal life. Maybe they go after my family, maybe my friends, things like that. So that's all taken into consideration. You know?
I also think that another thing that has to do with it is that if a hardworking person commits a crime, they're hit with a lot of time, because that would be the only time that they will make any the system will make any money off them.
Exactly.
Now, when you have a repeated offender that becomes residual income for the judicial system, they're going to be in and out because they know they're going to make money again on them.
Right. Remember, that whole prison complex is a business.
Yeah,
It's a business.
It's the new slavery for this country. So you're not so much looking at the prison industrial system as it seems that what she was convicted of didn't meet the nature of the crime that she committed. That's what it is. It's the nature of the crime. So even if she went before the parole, it's not going to be because of manslaughter. It's second degree murder. The nature of the crime has been diminished to the point where they may not keep her for the nature of the crime because it's lower than it really actually was. It appears that she did less of a horrific act than she really did.
You said she was committed on assault, right?
No, criminal negligent homicide.
Like, so when they see that, they're not going to see the old charges. They're going to see that. Like, you know, this, you know, she was already in for 2 years. Then she been in for another year. You know what? You know, the way the system is set up, you never know. And
to me, being criminally negligent is if I didn't take into account and I throw something out the window and it kills somebody, then yeah, I'm being negligent because I didn't think carefully the actions of the consequences of my actions. But when you're talking about someone who said they were going to lit up a place, went and packed her bags, walked through every victim's room and left, if that's not premeditated, I don't know what is. She did say she was going to do it.
So what can be done about this so that it doesn't occur again?
I believe bringing light to this case is something that we need to hear, because another thing is, would have I known that maybe not even having a trial by jury, we could have... I never thought that anybody with common sense would have actually let her walk away with a slap on the wrist. Maybe petition for stronger laws against... There should be a more of a maximum depending on the type of crime it is, because negligent criminal homicide could have been it could be in a lot of different ways. But when it's done in such a horrific manner, the way she did it, there should have been a more of a maximum time for her to serve. Like it should be open to maybe 4 to 15, and where the judge has the ability to say, okay, well, you know, because of the nature of the crime, we should give you a lot, you know, we should give this individual a lot more time and have the judge give more of a control, because respecting the jury's decision, I mean, I understand you have to respect a jury's decision, but when it doesn't make sense and there's so much overwhelming evidence like there was in this case, it doesn't make any sense what the judicial system is doing.
It doesn't. You know, I believe that we need to bring the community together, really. I feel like that's the only way they're going to really respect us, you know, so things like this won't happen in the future. You know, like bring things like this to the light also, but also teach the community, teach them, first off, they have to know their rights. You know, that's the first, know their rights and then know the system and stuff like that. So when we see these things happen, we can come together like, wait, that's wrong right there, you know. Because
we didn't hear about this, and this happened in 2013?
This happened in 2013. I reached out to some of the reporters who actually did write articles on this. I never got a response. Maybe it had to do with when the incident happened, the reporters wanted to speak to me, but I was in such pain that I really did not want any news coverage. I just wanted my son to get better. I was hoping he survived this. I was in shock. I had just become a grandmom. He had just had a baby 3 weeks prior to this incident. So it was a lot going on, so I did not reach out to the news media or anything. I feel that maybe if I would have reached out back then, maybe they would have wanted to do a follow-up story. It wasn't possible, but I still believe that, like the gentleman said, just because my son was a minority, would have we been white, would have my son been a cop, a firefighter, a first responder, this verdict wouldn't have been the same. Exactly. Why? Because the jurors would have known that somebody was going to have to take responsibility, and they weren't going to let someone like that out in the street. There would have been maybe too much news coverage.
Exactly.
See, so when they're saying, because I was watching the news the other day, and they were saying having a problem when Black Lives Matter. And I'm going, we all know that all lives matter.
Exactly.
And what we're saying is Black and minority lives also matter. So why are things so disparate? If all lives matter, then why is there a two-tier system or three-tier system? Correct. Shouldn't everything be equal?
Yes.
And that's also interesting, you know, people that bring up all lives matter and things like that. People like, you know, when do they hold any rallies, you know? Like when things happen, when these crazy people shoot up these government buildings and be taken in alive because they're white, where is the all lives matter crowd at, you know? It's just nothing but a defense to try to silence people for standing up for themselves.
You know, because all lives do matter. And unfortunately, we are not the criminals. We are the ones that are saying we know that all lives matter, and we don't know how to fix this system so that it recognizes and you can feel comfortable with our system. Our system seems to be, we seem to be running into brick walls.
Exactly.
That's what it seems that we're running it, and it seems like the legal system is we were almost set up to fail.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a system. It's set up for failure. It's a broken system. When it should work, it doesn't work. And when you see the abuse of nonviolent offenders getting all this time, 20 years for someone that maybe was caught with, let's say, drugs, compared to someone that just burned someone intentionally, and she walks away with 4 years. So what is going on with our system?
I'm not quite sure. I had an arsonist blow up 2 of my cars, and he got 2 years.
It's crazy, you know.
You know, and I was saying, you know, I didn't want him to go to jail at all. I wanted him to recognize that you don't just blow up.
Yeah, you don't just do that.
You don't just do that. And if you do that, then there are consequences. And how about paying for it? Because he blew up the first one, and I said, okay, I had just redone the whole car from the outside, so it appeared that the car was only worth a certain amount of money because it was a 1992 car, but everything under the hood was brand new. So if I replace everything under the hood, then you're going to give me the money that I put into the vehicle. And when I said no, and I said, okay, then he said no. And I said, okay, then I'll see you in court. Okay, and 2 days before we would go into court, he blew up the other car.
Oh, wow.
So it was, and he got 2 years, and I wasn't even informed that he was being released, because I was going to go and say, I think he needs to spend more time there. He took away my cars, and I didn't do anything to this guy. I mean, I don't even know why he did it. He was an entrepreneur on my block, a young guy who had a pizza shop on my block, who I was trying to get people to do business with him. So I don't know why he did it, but they didn't even tell me. He was just out. So he could have come back.
He could have come back for you.
That's what I'm saying. He could have come back, and I wouldn't have known. And the system is not it. And I kept saying, if I had been different, maybe I would have gotten the notification.
Yeah.
Because now I'm doing this.
Exactly.
And now you're frustrated because we don't know where to go. I wanted to have a whole panel discussion on, well, what are the steps that we take to make the system more equitable? I ran for mayor because of the same reason, because I didn't feel that the system was equitable. And I kept saying, I'm tired of asking people and sending letters, and when I know I can step up and do it right.
Yeah, like the DA had said, I can start writing to the legislators, and I said, that would be a dead letter. That would be a dead letter that will be sitting there forever, and nothing's going to happen, because I mean, you have so many other cases where so many people voice their frustrations and look for help. Do they get anywhere? They get maybe a little noise, but that's it. There's really, I mean, where do we go from here?
You have to partner up with all of the people in the community, because it's one voice is not heard, and this is the perfect time for you to start making noise, because it is an election year, and you see the craziness that's going on with this election. So we need to find out who can hear in this time of craziness.
Exactly. We need more power in the community. Like I said before, like no president, politician, it has to be you to do it. Even with the voting system, my views on voting is very different personally, on a personal level, because I feel like we don't see what goes on in that throughout that whole process. I believe it works, but I believe that we the people should be more involved for seeing how that goes down, because we see what happened with Bush. He actually lost that election, but he somehow ended up back in office, So that just goes to show you that we don't have the power right now. They have the power, and they really dictate things.
And if we don't step out in numbers, and really, 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 for every election, and then hold the people accountable. Now, don't just go in and just click, because they're all Democratic.
Yeah.
That's not, no. When you come into my neighborhood, because I only see them around election time, are you holding them accountable? When they sashay through to say, well, what can we do for the peons? This is when you hold their feet to the fire and say, and if you want my vote, and I have all these, and you get your name, I got all these people behind this whole neighborhood right here, and if you don't do what we say, take it easy so long, and that's what we haven't done in a long time.
That's what we need.
Those midterm elections should not have gone the way they did, but everybody sat back and said, phew. And what happened was, other party took over the Congress, and now we're at a stalemate for every little thing. So, and that's the federal. What's happening on the state level? What's happening on the city level? City council, I had some people who were running for city council on the show, and I didn't know that we were down to only 2 women from the Bronx
Wow.
on the city council.
Yeah.
We're not in the mix.
No.
So we don't have any say so. So it's almost like, I wasn't supposed to say this anymore. It's almost like you're peeing up a rope. For real. And it's not, and it's supposed to have gotten a whole lot better. Because so many of us are aware. But you over there and you over there, and I keep saying this in so many shows, is we haven't come together.
No, everybody's very divided.
And I think everybody has this thing that nobody wants to give up their fiefdom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm in charge of mine, and you're gonna be in charge of yours,
Exactly.
and nobody wants it. And I'm saying I don't really want to be in charge. I don't really want to work this hard because I'm trying to do everything. You trying to do everything, and you trying to do everything. But my specialty is, and if everybody just stuck with their specialty and get everybody else to do that, we could make some positive changes that made some sense.
Exactly.
Because we have kids coming along now who are watching us.
Yes.
They're watching us.
Exactly.
And if we don't know what we're doing, what is the expectation that they're going to know?
Exactly. Because the kids is already lost, you know. Just look at our kids nowadays, you know. And then we have this new thing going on nowadays where now the adults blame the kids, you know. Which are not all adults, but most, from my experience, from what I've seen personally, I'll see a lot of blame on the kids nowadays. And I'm like, well, who do the kids learn from?
But it's actually, they've always done that, though.
Exactly.
I mean, they've always, you got to blame somebody.
Yeah.
And
You gotta
the kids
blame somebody,
and the
right?
kids are the ones that don't listen. They hear what you say, but they don't necessarily listen to what you say.
Yes.
But they hear what you say, but they're going to do what they want to do anyway, because once they attain the age of 13, they know more than you in their minds.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know, the average brain doesn't fully develop until the age of 25.
But
you know?
when they're 13, they
Exactly.
know it all, and you know nothing.
Yeah, but and you're right. Leading by example, because what they see from us, that's what they'll take. And for example, when they see certain things going the way they're going, and
They're throwing up their hands.
they're throwing up their hands, and they're okay. Well, you know what? If this is happening, then it's okay for me to react and behave this way.
Exactly.
And it's not. That's one thing I expressed about. I said, for example, this young girl that committed this crime. She was a young girl, 21, when she committed the crime, and she's gotten away with a few. She was walking around with an open warrant, getting away with the judicial system. Do you think she's learning from this? No. She says, okay, well, who's gonna be? Well, next time I get out, you know, I'll get over again. And her young friends are seeing her get away with this. What do you think they're gonna do? They're gonna, well, it's okay that I keep committing crime, so it's okay because the adults, you know, they're letting me get away with it. The system's letting me get away with it. They're treating me like a youth offender. They're seeing me just like a wild kid. The adults have to take responsibilities and teach our youth that they themselves have to take responsibilities too and lead by example.
And unfortunately, we don't have a whole lot of folks doing that right now.
Yeah, not a lot. Only a handful, you know.
Yeah.
It got a lot of ego problems nowadays, too, I like to call it. And a lot of people, they don't like to get involved in something until they're directly affected, you know. They see things happen, well, like, you know, take for instance your son. Well, that happened to my family member, so I don't have to worry about that right now. But when it happens to them, now they want the attention, you know. Now they see what's going on. But so we got to work on a way to bring people together without having to experience something first.
And that I haven't quite figured how to gather the folks together, because we're very good with crises, you know, because we're reactive folk. So if something happens, it's okay. Let's have a rally.
That's right.
Okay, let's march. Wave the banners. Then the cameras go away and everybody just shrinks back in.
Yeah.
Until the next event. And I'm so sick of because not a march that I want to do. I was thrown off the Million Youth March planning program because I kept saying I don't want to march. What are we marching about?
Yeah.
we have not overcome by marching all the time. And I'm not saying go out there and destroy anything. I'm saying we really can work within the system, but we have to get into the system. And we're on the outside looking in all the time. We're looking in. How do we get inside that door? In mass.
And it shows you the mentality state that the people in this country are in when you have a circus going on with our politicians, and it's like you have Trump there speaking in racial terms, and it's acceptable, and everyone
He's actually not speaking in racial terms, though. He just failed to recognize that the undocumented, the illegal aliens that are coming in are not only coming from Mexico.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He just didn't talk about the people who are coming over with visas, who let their visas expire, who are coming in from Canada, who are coming in from all over the world.
Yeah.
And because I have an issue with that too. If you're not coming in the right way and I ain't know where you from, then I'm having some issues with, because I don't know what you're going to do or what you're thinking about doing. And even beyond that, they're illegal.
Yeah.
So if you're telling my kids don't break the law, and then you're telling an illegal person, okay, it's okay, well, you've been here a long time, so it's okay, then what are you telling our kids? That foreigners can come and break our laws, but you better not, because we're throwing you in jail. And that's a double message. And until we get some equality, when balance of the laws, we have problems. And yes, we do have a circus right now. And everybody who got any sense better go and register to vote if they're not registered, because otherwise, come November, we're going to have Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, nothing. Bring America back to where? And he can do anything he wants because he doesn't have to answer to anybody because he's using his own money.
Exactly.
So, I wonder if that's tax deductible.
That's the truth. He is using his
He's
own
using
money.
his own money so he can say what he wants. He doesn't have to answer to anyone.
It's like no one can stop him. And he appeals to a lot of people that love the country the way it is, or like the way it used to be. Like they wanted to get back to the way it is because it benefits them and their white privilege, you know? That's why they love Donald Trump so much, because of that right there. And they want to keep that going. They don't care about the people that's below, you know? Forget them. As long as we can keep going and keep getting our profits, who cares? The hell with those people, you know? That's pretty much.
Yeah, and I don't think they ever cared.
Yeah, you know, they never cared, of course.
They never cared.
But we're still going to have to deal with this on the local level.
Oh, we sure enough.
Because I don't want to go to another meeting, though. I don't know what... we write up the plans and then have them implemented, then maybe. But we're always at the drawing board.
Exactly. No actions.
Thank you.
You know, I say that so much. I used to like go to these lectures a lot in Harlem sometimes and things like that. I stopped going. I told other people too, I'm like, why are you going out there for, man? They're going to sit there and talk about what you need to do, what we should be doing, who's the enemy or this and that. But what are they doing though, you know? They're not doing nothing. They talk about having this quote unquote army that they have to serve the people or this and that, but I don't see it. What are they doing? It's 2016, you know? And my thing is, if you're not doing nothing now, then like you're just talking, you know?
Because I was trying to think of some place to tell you you can go here and partner with these people. And I don't understand, the Legal Action Center didn't, you're smiling. You're smiling. No?
I spoke, the DA, everyone, they tried, there was nothing. Our hands were tied. I mean, there was nothing. I made a big fuss. I wanted to know if there was any other charges, but, you know, then she was protected by the double jeopardy law, where she can't, once you're tried and a jury either acquits you of a crime or they charge you with a certain crime, that's the end to it. They can't go after you again. That's the double jeopardy law. Then I also tried to refer to maybe the judge looking to go beyond the overscope of the law, which his hands were tied as well. So it looked like every way I wanted to go, it was a dead end. It was just a dead end.
Yeah, and it's very ironic that they bring up these laws. Now they want to follow the laws, but in most cases when they arrest our youth, they don't read them their rights. You know, by law, if you don't read someone their rights, they're supposed to be released. You know, so but no, they don't do any of that. Even if someone speaks up like, "Oh, my rights wasn't read to me," you know, I've been violated or what have you, they be like, "Man, whatever, just stay in there." You know, we go on to central bookings. You know, and that's wrong.
Except that, do the attorneys, do they tell the attorneys that, or they tell the policemen that?
That's the problem, you know.
Because if you're telling your attorney that, then you're supposed to be released immediately.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. If your Miranda rights are actually violated, it's just the interpretation of the law itself. The way the laws are being interpreted today, when the justice should be served, when they should come down, then it's not.
They fail.
They fail you.
Exactly.
And yet, then you have other cases where justice overexceeds what's fair. And then those cases, you know, there's nothing. It's a dead end street. It's like you're fighting. It's a lose-lose situation. It's just the way the judicial system is set up. It's a total failure today. A total failure. It's been treated, it's always been treated, it's all about the money. It's all about the money. And, you know, I felt that in this case, this offender was treated, well, you know what? She's a residual income. She'll be back here. She just killed another minority. And there's not going to be no big fuss. There's not going to be no noise. It wasn't a cop. It wasn't a white person. Would have been like I said before, would we been white or Jewish? This verdict would have not been the same. It just wouldn't have.
Exactly. You know, the money is what drives everything. You know, these conspiracy charges that they have on these gang members nowadays, right? See, they arrested about 58. Manhattanville Project, they arrested almost 100 people. You know. Recently. You know, so it's like. And recently, crime has dropped. On record, crime has dropped. So my take on that is, all right, crime has dropped. So now they're losing money. So now let's bring up these conspiracy charges. I know people who was in college, people who never even did anything to anyone, but they know they're in the gang. So when they come to do their sweeps, they arrest everybody, and they tend to charge everyone with similar charges. You know. People who never even touched someone, they may get a murder charge. Like, oh, and you know, our kids, they don't know certain things. So once they throw these charges at them, like, oh yeah, we got you on this and that, they start thinking about, like, yeah, they don't have me on this. I never did it, but like our kids is not well educated on the system that well, you know. So this is very interesting to me.
So why are we not providing our youth with copies of the laws? Don't they have those little pocket books of with your rights, know your rights? And
Yeah, we do that. Africans help Africans, we do that, but it's not enough of us out there really doing the work, you know, like letting people, make sure people know their rights.
Where are you located?
In Brooklyn. From East New York, Brownsville. We also do work in Harlem also, right there on the corner of 125th Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard.
Okay.
You know, but it's not enough people involved, you know. It's only, it's us, you know. We have our comrades, Why Accountability, Black Rider Liberation Party. It's only a handful of people that's actually doing certain things, but it's not enough, you know. Like you said before, if we don't show it in numbers, no real effect is going to happen. Unfortunately, exactly.
Okay. See, we always seem to be at a, running into the brick walls and feeling, but we should, as long as we can still talk about it, and we do have this venue, and I will send it out to as many people as I can, and you'll disseminate it too. And maybe by word of mouth, we can get folks to contact you. You have email?
Yes, I do. Judy Fabian, Judy Fabian, Fabian 19 @gmail.com.
They can contact you. They can contact you at...
Also at email. That's dev.tate, Tate 93 @gmail.com. Also, the Africans Help Africans Facebook page. That's Africans with a K. AFRIKAN.
Okay. So, because I did that because I usually run out of time, and I wanted to get your information before I ran out of time.
Oh, no, it's all right. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah. And it sounded like we're ending on not a happy note, but we know that we're going to disseminate the information, and perhaps someone will hear, since this is a international show. Someone will hear, and give us some input, some help.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know, because we do need the help. You know, because like I said before, it's not enough of us doing the work. It's not enough. So when there's only a handful of us, we're making an effect, trust me, because we're always reaching out to somebody, but as a whole, we're not doing it. You know, we need to get back to things that we used to do before, like the Panthers, but do things a little different, you know. You know, you guys can go on Facebook, Black Rider Liberation Party on our Facebook page. You know, so if us as a whole, we came together and do things like that, like a wise man once said before, like if you find out that someone is going to feed your kid for free, that's a big deal, you know, that makes a difference. And now you could trust certain people with, you know, just feeding your kid. Maybe you're going out there, and while they're doing that, maybe you're conversating. Maybe you're learning some stuff yourself, because it's a lot of miseducated parents around too. So that has an effect on the kid. You know, because we all need a healthy meal. Exactly. At the end of the day, it plays a big part in like our brain and the way we function.
Okay, so I want to thank you for coming in.
Well, no problem.
Okay, and
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
And to my audience, I want to say, I want to thank you again for choosing In My Shoes. I'm Hilda Kathy Broady, your host, and we'll see you next week. Be well. That sometimes the criminal justice system is not the way to go. Well, I had an incident in 1997. Somebody blew up my car. I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I had gone up to Albany because I was labor management chair, and I was on the Health and Safety Committee, and I was on the State Education Department's labor management, the big education department, the whole State Education Department labor. So I was up there for a week. I came home, I parked my car, and the next day it was disintegrated. When I had someone go, if we found out who did it, because there were witnesses out there, I had someone go and speak with him. And this car, really, I love this car. It was a two-door car, so I wasn't anybody's chauffeur. It was good on gas. Unfortunately, I had to rebuild the car from the outside, inside out. So I replaced everything, including the muffler and the tailpipe and all of the little intricate details underneath the hood. And I'm saying this because it was an entire summer of trying to get this car so that I could depend on this car to go up and down the road and not have to worry about being stopped. I didn't have any music in the car because it was a used car, and I didn't have the code for the music, but I refused to buy a new system until all of the other things that were wrong with the car were fixed. And I had finally gotten all of the things fixed in the car, and 3 weeks later, Michael Rivera blew up my car. Burnt it up, I mean, incinerated that car. And when I had someone go and speak with him about replacing it and all the money I had put into the car, I said, well, I don't want anybody to go to jail. Just give me the money that I put into the car and I'll go replace my car. And by then I had spent close to $4,000 on this car. And it was a 1992 car, and it was only 5 years old when I got it at that time, but it was a 1992 car, and he was like, I ain't paying that much money for that car, blah, 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 and I'll go to court. So I said, okay, fine, we'll go to court then. And as the court date came closer and closer, guess what? 2 weeks before it was time to go to court, I had to replace the car because that's the only way I could get to work. That car was also incinerated. Now, I think, I'm alluding to this because I think that had I gone to speak to this young man, because I found out that I knew him. He was a young entrepreneur who had opened up a pizza shop on my block, and I had gone in and I had purchased pizza and encouraged him. And I think what happened was my friend saw him sitting on the car, and unfortunately, he was not a little person like I'm not a little person, but the car was kind of sort of made out of tin, I thought. And he was denting the car, and my friend said, get off that car, blah, 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 and didn't say it in a way that I would have said it, because I would have said, I really need my car, and it's made out of tin, can you sit on something else or whatever, but anyway, I think that's why he blew up the cars. But we didn't have a conversation, and I didn't want him to spend 2 years or 5 years or whatever he spent in jail. I just wanted my cars. So, P.S., he spent time in jail, wasted 2.5 years of his life in jail for a stupid act. I didn't get my cars back. Crime victims told me that they gave me a hard way to go. I mean, they eventually sent me some money, but it was nowhere remotely close to what I had lost. So I'm saying maybe we need to spend time talking to each other and getting around I want you to go to jail, because I don't see where the jails are helping anything. I have a relative who similar situation, and she's losing her mind because she was attacked. And I think the situation has to be addressed, but it doesn't have to necessarily be through the legal system. I want to talk about people who borrow money now. I have been victimized. People just say I'm stupid. Okay, I think I actually believe people when they say they're going to pay me back. I'm going to lose on Judge Judy. I'm going to know because I get contracts now at least. Okay, I'm saying to the people who borrow, not only from me, but if you borrow and you tell somebody, oh, I'm so destitute and things are going so poorly for me, and if you would just help me, then you need to pay the person back. Think about it. That person is probably making a sacrifice to lend you funds. And then you choose to use your funds so that your life is less stressed, and then not pay that person back is ludicrous. I have just learned now that I'm not going to be lending anybody anything else. With for drugs, they say, just say no. For loaning people money, friends, family, strangers, I'm going to say no. No. 9. Nits. Nada. Because this way, my head won't hurt, and I won't feel stupid, and I won't be out my funds that I don't have to give away, because people do not pay back. They throw you under the bus. They say, hell, oh, if you had it to lend me, then you got it to give. And that's really not a solution to people's problems. So if you have bad credit or you broke, don't call me, don't email me, don't text me, stay away from me, because my money, I keep saying my pension is not the greatest, so I don't have it to give away either. We'll be back next week.
Yeah, M-Wham got a message for you. Check it out. I've been less offended by the boxers or the sagging pants in our community. I got a song for you. Check it out. Here we go. Come on.
Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up.
Yeah.
It's the new style.
Come on, collect, talk to me.
See, Mr. Harris, embarrassing. Sagging jeans is an epidemic.
That's right.
One that I've never been a fan of. And I can't stand how these young men, they sagging, they dragging. Come on, pull your pants up. And I know us girls, we in the wrong for not putting these fellas on.
You got the power.
But I'm offended by boxers, and I think that we all should be. You feel me?
Help me.
Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up.
Why?
It's the new style. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up.
Yeah.
Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. It'll make your mama proud.
Here we go.
We living in a world affected by an epidemic. Sagging jeans and sweatpants is how I'm living. Need to set the example to make the future right. So hey, our message when we hit you with the chair, right?
Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up.
It's kind of crazy.
Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. It's the new style. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. It'll make your mama proud.
I know you heard your belt say. You know your belt was talking to you this morning. Said, come on, just take me with you. I just wanna help you all day, keep your pants up. I just wanna throw myself around you and hang out with you all day long. But you know what? You didn't listen, so now we don't have to tell you this. Come on, say it.
Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. It's the new style. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. Pull your pants up, pull your pants up. It'll make your mama proud. Oh, nice.
In my shoes, we really are taking a different approach to service in the world.